Li Zunian?
Zunian was the Chinese champion in that time. We played against the Chinese team at the Olympic Games from Dubai in '86. It was more or less a decisive game for the Chinese team and for us. I mean, our team tried to win, of course. The Chinese team was already a force in world chess, not like today. I mean, of course, not today. They are much stronger, but they were very dangerous tactically. And our game will be no exception because my opponent tried to prove against the King's Indian a very tactical variation, which is very, very dangerous for black. If you don't play one or two moves the best, then you are in big trouble already. So we'll show how
Okay,
and why.
let's see.
So it was his home analysis against my home analysis, and he'll have a big
Who?
surprise. He'll have a big surprise. You understand why we comment the game, and I explain.
Okay.
So okay, c4, c5, d5, d6, knight c3, g6, e4, bishop g7. Well, it's a mixture from Benoni and King's Indian. Depends now, you see. In one moment, the move order is very important. And now he played f4. This is the so-called 4 pawns
Yeah.
variation against the King's Indian. Well, this is one of the, I mean, it was also one of the most dangerous variations against the King's Indian. You have to play very careful to avoid any tactical tricks, a lot of tactical tricks in this kind of position. So after knight f3, e6, bishop e2, I took in d5, and he played e5. This was the novelty, you know,
Novelty?
e5, yeah. The first side, very dangerous for black, you see, because if you are not very well prepared and you receive such a novelty during the game, it could be very dangerous. If you have a small mistake like this, then black is already in big trouble. But that it was clear, it was Chinese analysis at home, that
This
the
move.
new move e5, Okay. Well, the problem was that after 94, it was my new move, my home analysis, and he didn't know that I played this variation already 3 or 4 years before in a very big important tournament in Germany. I won brilliantly the game there in Germany, but nobody knew. Nobody knew the game,
What? It wasn't
so
part
it
of.
wasn't published. So
Hmm.
and now it was a big novelty against the Chinese team, it was a big surprise for them, you see. And now the game is more or less forced, and it's very good for black. It's world novelty in that time, you see, 94. But it's okay, it's very good. Why? Because now, first of all, if white takes immediately with the knight in d5 here,
Yes.
after knight takes d5, knight c6, bishop d3 has to attack the
The
knight
knight.
from e4, no? And now after the normal move f5, it's clear black is better because he has a better position for all his pieces. The white king is still in the center, and black has no problem at all. Black is clearly better here, no? If you're obliged to take in f6 and passant, after knight takes f6, it's clear, you are forced to go away with the knight from d5 or take in f6, and black is clearly better,
Hmm.
already very dangerous for white. So if he doesn't play like this, we have our game. The only difference between the game Riedel against myself from Germany was that in such a position we had extra moves a4 and a6. We played two other moves. Black played a6, white played a4, and we had exactly the same position here, with knight e4. In our game against Zunian, we have the same position but without the two moves a4, a6. But okay. And after knight e4, he played the other normal move, c takes d5. C takes d5. And now, okay, black takes in c3 is like a Grunfeld. The idea is like a Grunfeld, but only white played instead of the normal position with castle or something. He had the move f4, which is good for black here because the big diagonal is open, you see, and black has to play here an extra move to attack 3 times the pawn from e5. And that move is knight d7 here. Knight d7. Big novelty, but very simple. Here white is already almost lost immediately after the opening. You see, because he loses a pawn. White loses a pawn by force. He has no time to play e takes d6 or e6 because the pawn from c3 is attacked and comes with check very quickly, and the position is terrible for white.
Yeah.
So he has to castle, and now black wins a pawn without any problem. He's attacked 3 times in e5, no? And now knight takes e5. Yeah, he has to play bishop e3 to come a little bit with the pieces, So now very simple, we take in f3, takes, and now queen d6. Okay, now we have the result. After the opening, black has a pawn, has very strong position on the king side, on the queen side, very, everything is protected. And we have to realize the advantage later on, But it's not so complicated, because the position is so good. So he failed with the home analysis, and the result is clear. Black is better in all these positions and has to play quietly to try to win. Very good for me, for myself, and for our team. Okay. So now you have to play precisely with black. Okay. It's not complicated at all, but you have to play very, very well and very precisely. Okay, bishop e5. Now he played h3, of course, otherwise he loses the pawn in h2, no? g3 was not so good also because it weakens the position. So now quietly b6. Okay. And now what can he do? He has to come bishop h6, rook e8.
But you move this bishop on e5
Yeah,
also
because we took the diagonal. He had maybe the possibility to play himself bishop f4. If he could play bishop f4 and you were forced to trade the bishop in the center, then the pawn from d5 could be more or less dangerous. But now with the bishop in e5, everything is safe. Black has a very strong position, no weakness at all, and he can play quietly for win, without any counterplay for his opponent. Okay, rook e1. What else? He's forced to play like this. And after bishop a6, the last piece comes into play, and he is more or less forced to play bishop e2, because after rook f2,
yes,
he was immediately probably lost after bishop g3.
Bishop g3?
With the bishop in f3. If he played...
here.
Yeah. Well, bishop g3 immediately, or maybe black could also play bishop h2 check first. Yeah, bishop h2 check. That king has to move now. And now bishop g3, or even possible to play rook takes e1, queen takes e1, and then bishop g3. Wins the exchange for nothing and the game. No counterplay at all for white, you see. White is completely lost, of course. Yeah. So, okay, bishop e2, more or less the only move. No, bishop e2. Unpleasant that he had to play like this, but he was forced. So, okay, bishop takes e2, rook takes e2, and now, as always in this kind of position, very strong move, c4. No? I play c4, I think, no?
Yes, you play c4.
I play c4.
But here wasn't better bishop here?
No, because if you play immediately bishop g3, he has time to take in a6, and you lose, 2 bishops against rook, and you let him escape.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it's
true.
not good. You have to play, careful with black.
Yeah.
The position is winning, but you have to play very well. You see. Okay, but it's not complicated. It seems that white has a little bit something, but in reality has nothing, you see. So, rook f2, and now rook e7. Okay. So we have the result. Everything is protected. We have 3 against 2 on the other side. Every endgame is completely winning for black. But in meantime, even in the middle game, white is in big trouble. We'll see during the game, you see. So, okay, rook e8. And now, well, he tries to provoke some weakness or something, but this has no time. So now quietly rook d7. we want to take the second pawn in d5. No? So rook e2, and now we took the pawn. No?
Yes.
Yeah. We took the pawn, had to move queen e3 because it seemed that he could pin, after queen takes d5, rook takes d5, bishop f6. But after bishop f6, black is winning immediately with rook e6. Everything is protected, and black has 2 pawns, completely winning. So instead of queen e3, queen takes d5, rook takes d5. Here, rook,
yes.
queen takes d5. Queen takes, yes. Rook takes, and bishop f6. And after bishop f6, he wants to play the other rook in e1. But he has no time, because here black has the simple move, rook e6. And winning. 2 pawns up and winning. No, rook e6.
Rook e6.
Yeah. No, bishop f6, rook e6. Okay, we see the result. 2 pawns up, completely winning position. No compensation at all. So, okay, he tries some tactical tricks, later on, queen e3, because you are pinned and so, but you have such a position with 2 pawns up is completely winning for black. You have only to realize, you see.
But here wasn't better to protect this pawn with the other rook?
No, but it was...
No, here, instead of playing this, it wasn't better to move this rook here?
The other rook, yes, of course, it was possible. But then black could play, for instance, b5, a5, b4, and so on, and you come.
It's too passive.
Yeah, it has nothing, and pawn up for nothing. You see?
Yes.
And the position is completely winning for black. No counterplay at all. So, okay, queen c1. Here he could resign, but we were both in time trouble, and he continued to play for his team, But everything is very clear, black is winning in every position. So f6, bishop a6 is very interesting until the end. Queen c5, and then queen e1, rook e7, rook d2, okay, rook d6. You see, everything is very well protected. Every position, every square, everything, you see. So, again, what can he do? He played queen e4. He hopes to give some checks, like this. Yeah? And here I play queen c6. Of course, if he takes in c6, it's clear, again, endgame with 2 pawns up. And he could play only queen back to e2. So now black takes in d2, takes queen d7, of course. Queen f2, and decisive queen d3. Well, nothing to play again. So
you didn't took the pawn on this.
No, it wasn't necessary. It's much better like this, especially in time trouble. Time trouble is terrible move, queen d3, because black continues to attack,
A lot to
the pawn is lost anyway in c3, you see, so no problem. Queen d3, rook e1, and now we come to the final combination. Quietly, king f7 prepares the endgame, you see, and rook e3, and now I gave a check. He played here rook e1, yes, and now you see very nicely bishop g3. What can he do? If he takes in g3, is terrible because he's exchanged down and the endgame is completely lost. No? So if he plays like in our game, we come to an endgame which is completely winning again very quickly in a few moves. You see? So again, he took in f6, I took with the king. Yeah, he took in d1, rook e1 check, and he resigned. Now it's very clear why, because now you have to take in e1, takes, and then you lose also the pawn from c3. So it was practically a lesson how to win a completely winning position. So the novelty, the special novelty in the opening with e5 was completely destroyed after knight e4. Yeah, it was after knight e4 is practically completely winning the position for black by force, because the game was excellent and without any problem for black.
But did you expect that, or was
no? It was a surprise for me that he played knight e4. But in that moment and this level, very high level, it was the first game played in worldwide. You see, like this big novelty, the Olympic Games, and so everything was very surprised. They wanted to see what happens. But after 94, practically black is winning, you see, because everything is forced. And nobody played anymore. After our game from Dubai, nobody played this for white again, you know.
You mean
It
the
is
E5?
E5. It was very clear why, because everything is forced. Not only that he's lost by normal play, but everything is forced. And if everything is forced,
Yeah.
you can't do anything, yeah.
Yes.
But it was very nice surprise. We won the match, I think, and it was very good, you know, for the Romanian team and for myself, because the game was published and so on, you know.
Beautiful.
Well,
Okay.
well,
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
yeah.